Hello, hello. All right. Our lesson for today, we are creating standard form from roots. So let's talk about what we are actually going to be accomplishing. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to start with x-intercepts and just to kind of like add in some details here. Remember that x-intercepts could be called roots, solutions, and zeros. So all of these words mean the same thing. So we're going to start with roots, aka solutions, aka zeros, aka x-intercepts, and maybe a GCF. And we're going to be using these to write an equivalent standard form equation. Remember that equivalent means equal to. Because just because we have different formats of a equation or like a quadratic doesn't mean that the different formats aren't equal to each other. They're just written in a different way. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So our process looks kind of long, but once you get the hang of it, it's really not that bad. So first step here, we're going to write each solution as x is equal to whatever that number is. Okay, so again, a solution is going to have an x equals. So notice right here, these are my solutions. So I'm going to write each of these. One of them is going to be x is equaling to -3, and the other one is going to be x is equal to 1/4. All right, that is step number 1. We are done. So step number 2, make the right side of the equation equal to 0. So if you notice, I can draw a line here, and that helps me see the left side and the right side. So if our goal is to make the right side equal to 0, in this case, I need to move the -3. Well, how would I move a -3? Oh, well, we would add 3 and add 3. Once we do that, we can see that we've gotten the right side equal to 0, and the left side is x plus 3. All right, well, let's do our next one. Now, this one might be a little bit trickier because we need to move this 1/4. Now, when we move this 1/4, if we just subtract 1/4 and subtract 1/4, we would have x minus 1/4. You can do that, but then that means that you're going to end up with factors that have fractions. We do not want factors that have fractions. So again, we do not want fractions in our factors. So we are not going to be doing this process exactly. So again, this process right here of subtracting the 1/4, that's not what we're going to do. What we're going to end up doing is saying x is equal to 1/4. And again, our goal is to make the right side equal to 0. So we need to undo this fraction. So if we are dividing by 4, the inverse would be to multiply by 4. So that means that we would have 4x is equal to 1. Now we would take the positive 1 and subtract it. So now we get 0 is equal to 4x minus 1. This will work for us because, again, there's not a fraction here. We kind of undid our fraction. So that is step number 2. All right, next step here. Once equal to 0, which both of these are equal to 0, the left side of your equation is a factor. So, for example, I'm going to put parentheses, because normally we use parentheses around a factor, right? So I'm going to put parentheses around x plus 3. I'm going to put parentheses around 4x minus 1, because again, these are considered factors. Next step is we're going to then write or set up the factored form. This is something, again, we've been working on in the past. So you're going to have your GCF in the front, which is 3. And then factors next to each other. So x plus 3 and 4x minus 1. And it's still equal to 0. So then we're going to multiply all of our factors together. Now, we can go in a couple different orders. I personally like to do my box method first, and then I'll worry about distributing the 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for us. So x plus 3, and then 4x minus 1. If I fill this in, it's going to be 4x squared, 12x, negative 1x, and negative 3. And I'm going to go ahead and combine my like terms. So that means I'm going to be multiplying 3, which is our GCF, times 4x squared plus 11x minus 3. So again, just to kind of reiterate what we've done so far, we've gone from our solutions. We have solved for 0, so that means we have created our factors. This part is even called our factored form. Because we see that structure there with the GCF, factor, factor. And then right now we're on step number 5, where we multiply everything together. So I still have that 3 on the outside, and then we did box method for the 2 binomials. So now we're going to distribute, distribute, and distribute. So that is going to end up being 12x squared plus 33x minus 9. So this is now our standard form. We're all organized. And that was the goal of this problem. All right. Let's look at one more. So again, I am going to rewrite my factors individually. So for example, x is equal to 5 and x is equal to negative 1/4. So got that. Again, our goal is to write an equation where the right side is equal to 0. So I draw a little line here. I know I can subtract 5 pretty quick and easy. The other one might take a little bit more effort. So remember, you want to get rid of your denominator first, because you want to get rid of this fraction. So times 4 times 4. So 4x is equal to just a negative 1. All right, we can still get x by itself further. We still can solve this more. So let's divide by 4 and divide by 4. So that means x is equal to negative 1/4. So we got set equal to 0. Then it says that once again, we solve for 0. The left side of your equation is your factor. So our factors here, x minus 5, and I think, what am I doing? Oh, I worked backwards here. Let me fix this. I did probably what many of you would do. Notice how I divided by 4, but then got right back to my beginning. That ain't gonna work. let's correct that real quick. So multiply times 4, so 4x is equal to -1. My goal is to be equal to 0 on the right side. And remember that this is my right side. So to get rid of the -1, we're going to add 1, add 1. So 4x plus 1. And now coming back to that third step, that means 4x plus 1 is my other factor. All right, I need my factored form here. So I'm going to have -2, x minus 5, and 4x plus 1. Got that? So again, this is my factored form. And now we need to multiply everything together. So again, you could distribute first, but I personally like to use box method first. So x minus 5, 4x plus 1. So it's going to be 4x squared minus 20x, 1x, and a -5. Remember that this is just these two sets of parentheses. I still have that -2 in the very front. So I still have -2. And then let's go ahead and combine like terms. See what's inside these parentheses. Or excuse me, see what's inside the box method first. We got -x and an x. So that means we're going to have 4x squared minus 19x minus 5. All right, we have a GCF of a -2. We now need to distribute that. So that's going to be -8x squared and 19. So a negative times a negative is a positive. And 19 times 2 is 38x. A negative times a negative is a positive, and that would be 10. So we multiplied everything together. This is organized into standard form. So we are good to go. Alrighty. So go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try this one on your own. I will say that this one does not have a GCF listed, so we would assume that the GCF is just 1. Because if I divide by 1, nothing's going to change. We cannot assume that the GCF is 0, because if I multiply by 0, then my answer will automatically just be 0. So go ahead and get started with that. And make sure to check your work. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Have a great one.